Uganda is a landlocked country in East Africa near the equator. Uganda's neighboring countries are Tanzania to the south, Rwanda to the southwest, Zaire to the west, South Sudan to the north, and Kenya to the east. Uganda has an area of 241,139 square kilometers, comparable to New York and Pennsylvania combined. East and west of Uganda is bordered by the Rwenzori Mountains, forming almost 81 kilometers of Uganda and Zaire's border. The Rwenzori Mountains are also known as the Mountains of the Moon because of the exotic and unusual vegetation at the higher altitudes and the snow-covered caps. Uganda is 3,000 feet above sea level, which makes for a very pleasant climate. It is semi-arid with 2 dry seasons in December through February and June through August. Around 500 BC, Bantu-speaking peoples migrated to the region of Uganda, and by the 14th century, 3 kingdoms dominated Buganda, Bunyoro, and Ankole. In 1890, it was declared to be in the British sphere of influence, but became independent on October 9, 1962. Uganda elected Mustafa II as their first president. Uganda is a multi-party democratic republic. 68-year-old Yoweri Museveni is the current president of Uganda. He was elected on January 26, 1986. Christianity is practiced widely in Uganda. Muslim and other religions are studied too, but they are less popular. 1% of Uganda is European, Asian, and Arabs. The other 99% of Uganda is African peoples. The official language of Uganda is English, but you can find people speaking Luganda and Swahili as well. Uganda's gross domestic product divided by mid-year population was $1,300 in 2010, rising from $62.03 in 1962. The Ugandan infant mortality rate is 62.47 deaths per 1,000 births. In 2009, the life expectancy rate was 53 years of age and hasn't risen since then. The literacy rate for Ugandan males 15 years and up is 82%, while the literacy rate for females is 64%. The HDI is 0.422, ranking Uganda 143 out of 169 countries surveyed. Ugandan strengths include food self-sufficiency, diversified economy, agricultural, fishing, minerals, hydroactive and hydrocarbon energy, tourist attractions such as Lake Victoria and Albert, and also wildlife.
Uganda's main weaknesses are unstable political environmental corruption, social and political tensions caused by a shift to centralized power where patronage plus correction is used to maintain control. Also, Uganda's inadequate infrastructure in energy and irrigation have a large potential for hydroelectric power generation that is nowhere near capacity. The living conditions in Uganda consist of half the population being under the age of 15. There are 2 million orphans and a population of 30 million. AIDS, pervasive malaria, and poverty and civil war have wiped out a large portion of the middle adult age group. Education is a priority but must be paid for, and that forces many to go without. In northern Uganda, the Lord's Resistance Army is a militant religious movement that is led by Joseph Kony and has been accused of widespread human rights violations and kidnapping of children and forcing them to fight and kill for the movement. The U.S. has provided humanitarian assistance and support to help develop initiatives aimed at supporting social and economic recovery. The U.S. has also provided resources and training to help defeat Joseph Kony. Uganda continues to be considered a less developed country because of the political corruption that uses force to maintain control and the lack of family planning that has ultimately resulted in many orphans. The focus of Uganda's economic strategy consists of economic growth from better use of natural resources like its fertile soils, regular rainfall, and sizable mineral deposits of copper and cobalt. In addition, the country has largely untapped reserves of both crude oil and natural gases. Also, government reform is necessary for economic growth and stability. Strong local government who will press for reform is key to this success. Improved health and nutrition through education and family planning is also a necessity to further economic growth to help reduce poverty. Private industry is key to continued economic growth and stability. Agricultural and farming need to be modernized. By maximizing the use of power resources via privatization, the hope is that more people will have access to power, it will be more affordable, and will improve quality for living for the poor. The government and reforms by the government will be necessary to encourage privatization and investments by foreigners. To get a better perspective on Uganda, I had an aunt who lived there from 1962 to 1967. She was a doctor and a member of the Medicinal Mission Sisters. She lived in a town on the west side of the country near the Rwenzori Mountains, also known as the Mountains of the Moon, because of the exotic and unusual vegetation at the higher altitudes. She said they had snow-covered peaks and were on the equator. The name of the town was Fort Portal, and it was initially an outpost and near the eastern border of the Congo. My Aunt Jane was the medicinal officer in charge of the 100-bed hospital with a large outpatient department. During her 5-year stay at nursing school was opened, she talked of her stay in Uganda as a blessing to help people in so much need and was so grateful for the help, so eager to learn and better themselves.